North Korea is a highly restricted, geographically isolated state. Leaving without permission is illegal, and the government enforces this with a heavily fortified physical perimeter, perfectly designed to keep its citizens locked inside. South Korea is the ultimate destination, welcoming defectors with citizenship. On a map, heading straight south seems obvious, but between the nations lies the demilitarized zone, a 160-mile gauntlet packed with active landmines and guards ordered to shoot on sight. The sheer hostility of this border was captured on surveillance footage in 2017. A defector named Oh Chung-song attempted to race a military jeep across the demarcation line. He was pursued, shot multiple times by North Korean soldiers, and barely survived long enough to be rescued on the southern side. Escaping through the DMZ is exceptionally rare because the literal shortest path to freedom carries a near-zero chance of survival. Desperate people have to look for exits elsewhere. Looking east, the maritime route tests the limits of human endurance. In one instance, a man in his mid-20s reached the South Korean shore by equipping himself with fins and a diving suit, navigating the churning ocean tides in the dark for over 6 hours. To the north lies the border with Russia. Here, the physical environment is an immediate barrier. The river dividing the two nations is too deep to wade across, and the banks are heavily patrolled by guards on both sides. The few people publicly known to have successfully crossed into Russia are highly privileged citizens. It requires elite connections and deep pockets to navigate this specific stretch of land. With the south, east, and north effectively sealed off to ordinary citizens, there is only one option left: the western border, shared with China, divided naturally by the Yalu and Tumen rivers. Because the surrounding geography is so hostile, hundreds of people every year are funneled toward this single, precarious river crossing. But reaching this border is only the beginning of a much longer, multi-year ordeal. The mechanics of crossing here rely on a seasonal exploit. Defectors wait for winter, when temperatures plummet and the river water freezes solid. This creates a brief window where people can literally walk across the ice to the Chinese shore. Even then, crossing exposed ice in full view of watchtowers is nearly impossible without help. Many of these escapes are coordinated by paying off severely underpaid North Korean border guards to temporarily look the other way. Once a defector reaches the opposite bank, they immediately hit a legal wall. China does not recognize North Koreans as refugees. If caught, they face an invisible border of constant police surveillance. Stepping onto Chinese soil brings a different kind of confinement. Without legal status, defectors live in constant hiding, knowing that one suspicious neighbor or police check means immediate deportation back to North Korea, followed by imprisonment or death. Some try to survive this environment through total urban evasion. A young defector named Min Young adopted this strategy. She severed her ties and actively worked to erase her North Korean identity so she could blend into the local population. Doing this requires completely abandoning your native tongue to master Mandarin. Min Young adopted multiple fake names to avoid detection, and once had to pass a sudden Witten police fluency test while on the verge of a panic attack to prove she was a local. For her, this route culminated in navigating the massive, sprawling megacity of Shanghai. There, she used her entire life savings to locate a broker and purchase a forged Chinese identity, allowing her to legally secure a job. Surviving in these cities requires a high degree of adaptability, extreme luck, and significant financial resources. Most defectors arriving from rural North Korea simply do not have the means to pull this off. This shows the grim reality for those lacking resources. Without money or local knowledge, vulnerable escapees are often intercepted near the border. A 2019 South Korean report estimates that 60% of North Korean women in China fall victim to human trafficking. Many are deceived by brokers offering shelter or work. One escapee, Xiun, paid a guide to cross the river, only to be driven to a remote village and sold to a middle-aged farmer, forcing her into years of isolation and abuse. When individuals like Xiun finally manage to scrape together enough hidden funds to escape their captors, they cannot stay in China. Their only viable direction is to continue moving north to reach a third, neutral country like Mongolia. Standing between them and the Mongolian border is the Gobi Desert. Escapees must trek on foot across a hostile expanse the size of Peru, surviving freezing nights, scorching days, and severe dehydration just to reach the perimeter. Leaving the dictatorship behind often means enduring years of human exploitation, only to then navigate one of the harshest environments on the planet. If a defector survives the desert and surrenders to Mongolian border guards, the evasion finally ends. Mongolia, along with other sanctuary countries like Vietnam and Thailand, cooperates with Seoul to begin the official asylum process. After months in detention centers, they are put on a flight. When they step off the plane in South Korea, they are immediately processed, granted permanent residency, and finally given their freedom. Some go on to leverage their freedom to help others. Min Young, who now goes by her real name Hyun-So Lee, saved enough money in South Korea to orchestrate the escape of her own mother and brother, and now works as a human rights activist. Her life demonstrates the reality of the North Korean border, a continent-spanning ordeal that often consumes over a decade of a defector's life. Crossing the initial river ice is merely the first step in a journey that requires surviving both a legal shadow world and the planet's harshest terrain to reach safety.